Thank you for tuning in to the Unjiggered podcast. If you enjoy listening, please consider subscribing and giving us a rating on your podcast service of choice. Also, don't forget to like and tag us on Instagram at unjiggered_media. Thank you to everybody for listening, and now on with the show. You're listening to Unjiggered, a bartender podcast where we interview highly successful bartenders about their careers, lives, and the passion of bartending. This week we have Jerrold Khoo, bar manager of Jigger Pony, number 29 on World's Best Bars, located in Singapore. We chat about working in Starbucks, his time in the Mandatory National Service of Singapore, joining Jigger Pony, and helping to move it from an independent to a hotel bar, as well as breaking down their latest menu. With this podcast, we want to peel back the mask and discover just how the greats really became the greats. So sit back and enjoy.
Good day, everybody. My name is Jerrold Khoo. I'm from Jigger Pony, bar manager.
How's everything?
Everything's great, man. Like, it's a sunny day, a nice day.
How you surviving in Singapore heat? Any travel soon?
I'm still
or?
getting used to the heat after 28. Sorry, 29 years. Are you saying travels?
Yeah, any travels lined up soon?
No. This year we're slowing down a bit. Just want to focus more on bar operations this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Last year there was a bit of a traveling every month or so, but this year, I think we decided to stay put for me. Yeah, at least for me, stay put and focus on the operations at Jigger Pony.
So we all know you from Jigger Pony, of course.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Where did your career start, however? What was your first hospitality gig?
In fact, my first career started. Funny thing was this. I was just thinking about this question last night. I was thinking that maybe today Michele will pop this question.
You'll get grilled about it.
So yeah, in fact, it started 13 years ago. Yeah, I'm 30 this year, and then when I was 17, my first job was working in a cafe called Starbucks.
You worked at Starbucks?
Yeah, that was my first F&B ever.
You know that actually, I applied for a job in Starbucks when I moved to London, and I actually rejected my CV.
Yeah, because you're Italian.
It could be, yeah.
It's like, this guy would not like our coffee.
How was Starbucks?
It was great, man. Like, I went to Starbucks, so when I joined Starbucks, it's needed a job, Just wanted something to do after school. Funny thing was that, on the first day of training, they were asking us, what was your favorite drink in Starbucks? But I never had a drink in Starbucks before.
You never had a drink in Starbucks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Back then, Starbucks was a bit of a luxury. You could only find it in places like Orchard Road, downtown. You could, compared to what you have today, you can find it anywhere in Singapore. So back then, Starbucks was considered a luxury, so something that not 17-year-old, 16-year-old me would afford.
Uh-huh.
So the answer that I gave for my favorite drink in Starbucks was a drink not from Starbucks, but from Coffee Bean.
Really? What did they say?
Yeah. It's like, it's either a mocha or a latte. It's not a mocha latte. But Coffee Bean had a mocha latte, so...
Close enough, yeah.
Stupid things, no? Yeah.
And how is it to work for Starbucks?
Yeah, it was great fun, man. Like, the rush hour during the lunch period. Oh, that was crazy, I think that was the adrenaline that I first got a bit of the addiction to it.
Oh yeah,
the rush of getting things done, churning out drinks and taking orders and clearing the line.
And your first proper bar gig?
So 2 years later, I started working in a bar. It's called Loof.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a rooftop bar down at City Hall area. It's
okay.
opposite
LOOF.
LOOF. Yeah. It's a Singaporean loose term for saying roof. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so rooftop bar on the third story of Odeon Towers. So that was in 2009 when I was 19. Was in school, was doing interior design, was in a band, needed money for partying, drinking, jamming. So worked in a bar.
Singapore has grown so much in the past 11 years in terms of bars, right?
Yeah, right.
You'd agree?
I would agree, man. I would agree.
I think it's interesting to talk to you because you've actually have witnessed the whole growth of it, right? Starting from probably the early stage where you didn't have so many cocktail bars, and now you have so many amazing bars around. How did this experience at Louvre shape you? And was it like a full-on cocktail experience, or was it more of a high-volume bar?
It was a high-volume bar back in the days. There was no bars, or there was no craft cocktail bars yet. So at Louvre, we were actually turning out a lot of cocktails like mojitos and a lot of signature cocktails as well. Mm-hmm. So in fact, it was already, I would consider it a cocktail bar in 2009. Mm-hmm. Yeah, although we were doing a lot of beers as well and wines as well at the place, but at that point of time in 2009, Louvre for me was where I started to learn how to make cocktails from scratch. But at the same time, there was a bar that was opening. I think that was around the same time. It was Bar Stories, which is still around today. There were a lot of bars then. I mean, like there were a lot of fresh fruit cocktail bars. No menu, Clay, Barcode, Bar
like Japanese
Stories.
inspired bars?
Not they were not exactly, but they were more omakase. So, or they were more like bespoke bar. So just tell me what you like. I've got some fruits, fresh fruit, cut it up, make on the spot for you. So in that essence, I think it's a bit Japanese, but it's still very Western in terms of hospitality. Personally, I never been there to those bars when I was 19 years old, but just looking at the pictures and reading up about them, you kind of get a sense of how things are like. Also, I had a few opportunities to meet some of the people who work there, and you just listen to the stories that they tell you about. I made this drink and how's work there, stuff like that. So you just listening and very nice, very cool. I still remember one time working at Louvre, there was a colleague who shared with me how Japanese bartending was like. So he was telling me about how in Japanese bartending you pick the ice singularly to the shaker. And I was thinking like, shit, man, if you told me to do that at Louvre to the shakers.
So from there to Jigger and Pony, what do you think are the places that shaped you the most in terms of who you are today as a bartender and as a bar manager?
I mean, everywhere that I've been to, I feel there's a bit of there's a piece that I take away. At Louvre, it really shaped the whole foundation and basics of what bartending is. Back then there was nothing about being a mixologist or making a super intricate drink. It's just let's make a drink, but let's make it fast and let's make it as a team. So that was the part about Louvre that really shaped me to be a team player, to learn to make simple drinks, right? 4 years later, after my national service, that was when I joined Jigger and Pony.
So, like in terms of just, I wanted to quickly touch national service. How long does national service last for?
2 years.
So you've got 2 compulsory years of national service.
Yeah.
And how was that for you to drop everything and sort of go for it? Like, is it an experience that like gave you a lot, or is it something that you wish you didn't have to do?
No, I was okay with it, man. Like, I think national service is something that is very important, and it's nice to do. So I was looking forward to going to my national service. For me, it's always about going all out or none at all. Yeah. So I wanted to be, the best soldier. I wanted to go to become an officer, become a Navy officer. But unfortunately, I had some medical problems, so I was, stuck in the middle.
Okay.
But anyway, went through it 2 years, did my best. What I would say is that it is a part of your life for every Singaporean man where you could take a break from life.
So then you joined the Jigger group. How that opportunity came about, and what was Jigger and Pony back then?
Right. So back then, when I was fresh out of the national service and the army, I actually worked in a bar for about 3 months. Didn't work out too well, so I said, okay, that's it. Going to go to interior design. Want to be a designer.
Okay.
Yeah. Sending my application for a design firm. Went for one interview. To me, all right, Jerrold is very good, but I need to go through another interview with my other partner. Right, so I went back home. And then opened Facebook and I saw that one of my friends from National Service was working in Jigger and Pony.
Okay.
So I knew that around that time I already knew that I wanted to learn or wanted to do Japanese bartending. And I already knew about the existence of Jigger and Pony. I think that was a couple of months old. And that it is a bar that focuses on classics with Japanese techniques. So that really intrigued me a lot. Yeah, but it was, like I said, I already gave up on bartending. I wanted to go to interior design. And I think because some of my bar friends told me that, Jigger is full now. We have people like Aki, Anthony, Sam. So I don't think there's any space. So I didn't even bother trying. So, when I went home and I saw that my friend was working at Jigger and Pony, I was like, oh, wait a minute. You got in? Okay, cool. Can you try asking for me?
What was it like? Because I understand that you liked the bartending aspect of it, but because you were at this point you were working in interior design, right?
Yeah, I wasn't working yet. I was waiting for another interview before I got a job.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you were in the process of going through there.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, what did your friend say?
Friend said, yeah, no, the boss said yes, we have some vacancies left. Let's set up a trial shift. So while I was waiting for my second interview with the design firm, I said, yeah, why not? Let's do a trial shift, man. Maybe, if all works out, I can do 1 or 2 years in Jigger Pony and then go back to do interior design. So we set up an interview with Koi and Aki. And then we started a trial shift a few days later. Yeah. So a 1 week trial shift, and 1 week later was to decide what do you want. So at that point of time that was the most stressful part of my life at that point of time when I was 23.
Okay.
Like I was talking to Sam Wong outside, having a cigarette, and so it's like, man, I can't decide, man, what I want to do. I want to do both really bad. So after the sleepless night of thinking, the next day I said, all right, this is it. I'm gonna do bartending.
And how's bartending perceived back then here in Singapore? And did your family approve of it? Because you have completed your studies, and now you were about to get you were looking for a job in that thing that you trained for, but then all of a sudden you decided to change careers for something like bartending.
Yeah.
I don't know how did your family take it?
I think my family still felt like maybe I was finding my way, and eventually I was to go back to doing an office job.
Okay.
I don't think they were entirely supportive, but I don't think they were against it either.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe I was already in my 20s, so they felt like, there's nothing much to worry about anyway. Yeah. But I think the society was still growing into accepting bartending as a profession. It's definitely different from what we have today.
And so how's Jigger and Pony? How was Jigger and Pony then? And how long have you worked there for? Have you worked there since?
Yeah. So I've been in Jigger and Pony since 2013.
Okay.
Back then, Jigger and Pony, when we first started, I joined when it was 6 months old. It was in March 2013. I think back then we were still pretty. Indra and Goye came from a background of not having bars. It was their first. They first opened that bar with. They were not in the industry anyway. Also, before, a lot of the structure or the infrastructure was very different from what we had at Louvre. Yeah, it was not the typical F&B nightlife, culture that we had or that I experienced. So it was quite fresh for me.
Okay.
There were some practices that we were doing that were not done before. So I was like, oh, that's nice. We had a kind of like a performance review. So that's something that, you don't really have in a typical nightlife F&B job. And also I think we were finding our footing, in 2013 being one of the newer bar to open or the first few cocktail bars to open.
Very much one of the first, yeah.
Yeah. And I was learning as well. Like I had to teach whatever I learned at Louvre and, restart from being an apprentice again, bar backing and practicing the techniques, the shaking, really understand. It really blew my mind, especially on the first day when I started my trial shift, learning how to squeeze lime in the Japanese way. Yeah, I was like, wow, this is what I've signed up for, man. Like I want to learn all this. I want to learn all these techniques that the Japanese apply, and go into their mind to think why do they do this instead of that conventional way. Yeah, so all this really excited me a lot. Yeah, as a 23-year-old bartender converting to Japanese style bartending.
And so Jigger and Pony has moved recently.
Yeah, so we moved out of our original home from Amoy Street. It was a street bar. Now we moved into a hotel, Amara Hotel.
And why is that?
I think it was just timely that we felt that, after so many years of operating a bar, having few restaurants, that we learned how to operate a bar the best way that could benefit us in our way as well. Yeah, so back then at Jigger and Pony in Amoy Street, business was very good. So every weekend we were full and we had to turn away people. So we felt like, man, this bar is too small and we're not designed for that volume.
Okay.
The service stations were not well equipped to handle that volume. So a lot of times it puts a lot of more stress and pressure to
Deliver.
to deliver. That was one reason. And I think Jigger Pony by then at Amoy Street in the 6 years there, we're getting a bit what do you call it, status quo,
Comfortable.
Yeah, comfortable. Maybe a lot of new bars that are opening that are more exciting. So it felt like it was a good opportunity to refurbish.
Like reinvent yourselves, right?
Yeah, reinvent ourselves as well. Yeah, I mean, really put a lot of work into refreshing our brand, strengthening the brand. So also we had this space at Amara we had that feeling that this would work, like this was the space that we could use, or this was the space that was for Jigger Pony. So hence we took up that decision to move out of Amoy Street, which was shop house, to a space and totally redesign the bar. So we had the funds to install better service stations to quicken the service speed. We had also fundings to have better sound absorbent panels to have a better experience for the guests. Invest in better sound system as well. I mean, it's all about, end of the day, I guess it's all about the experience for the guests. Want to make sure that they get the best and we can do our job easily as well.
So you have made the space larger, and but the ethos stayed the same. So how would you describe to a person who's never been to Jigger Pony what Jigger Pony is about?
So Jigger Pony is a classic cocktail bar, focuses on classic and a lot of techniques as well. But we are not we are a very fun, convivial place. We want to. It's a bit like, I'll say, it's the best of both worlds. Behind the bar, we are attentive to details on the drinks, but on the other side of the bar, we let loose a bit, have a bit of fun. We're loud. The music is pretty upbeat. Yeah. So this in a sense is like there's
something that's very approachable and easy to understand.
Yeah.
And in terms of menu, how big is your menu and what kind of drinks do you have there?
So menu-wise, we have 27 cocktails, 6 punch bowls, couple of mocktails. Yeah. The format is now in a magazine style since we moved from Amoy Street, which also gives us a chance to reinvent our menu, which has been the same booklet for 6 years at Amoy Street. Now we have the magazine menu. It gives us a lot of room and chance to tell stories, put pretty pictures, Yet at the back, we maintain our... So always believe that, a menu should be easy to read through and understand. So that's why we always have all the drinks on one page. All the drinks are in the same price of $23, so that you don't have to decide whether, today I feel like I can spend a bit more. Let's go for the 27 drink. But, tomorrow you feel like, maybe let's not do the 27.
After you're not that happy, so a bit less.
Yeah.
And so you've got just to recap, you've got all your drinks on the main magazine, and each page more or less is a drink and explains the story about it.
Yeah.
But you've got the too long, didn't read version of the menu at the back, where you just have all your drinks, but you still have a strong focus on classics.
Yes, I think that was what we were built on, and till today, this is the DNA of the Jigger Pony Group. We make our classics well, and we know the classics. So, of course, you can have your signature drinks. We have a lot of our signature drinks as well. But all the signature drinks are also study on.
They start from a classic.
Yeah, start on a classic. They can even be a twist of the classic. Like let's reinvent. For example, the Ramos and Fizz. Let's look into a drink like Jungle Bunny and see what we can do to make it better, or even a whiskey highball. In our new menu coming up next month, we'll be looking into vodka soda, bubbles. How do we... I think for us, it's a bit like 7 years on, we've been exploring for the past 7 years, and now we are going back to basics again. Really, really going back to basics. We're looking at drinks, like I said, gin and tonic, vodka soda. You might be thinking like, oh shit, are you sure you're going to do these drinks? But yes, we really study these drinks, we break them down, and then we put them back together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would you like to talk to us about some of the highlights from your menu, or the things that you're the most proud of? You mentioned the Ramos Gin Fizz. I think yours is a quite cool interpretation of it. Would you like to talk to us about how that happens?
So that drink was a I mean, if you look at that drink, it is a very visually pleasing drink, and you can really tell that is inspired by the original drink of the Ramos Gin Fizz, which is a drink with gin, milk, cream, lemon juice, sugar, orange blossom water. So when we look at certain drinks, we always, in Jigger Pony style, we deconstruct the drink and we reconstruct them again. Also, we look at certain issues that may deter people from drinking the drink. For example, maybe it's too creamy, it's too heavy. So that's why we decided to make a clear version of Ramos Gin Fizz. So we clarify the drink, and how do we garnish it to make it resemble the original drink? Ramos has that thick foam. So we took out the orange blossom water from the drink and create a bubble out of it, and we just garnish these bubbles on top of the drink. So the shape, if you look at the silhouette of the drink, it looks like a Ramos Gin Fizz. But if you put the colors in now, it's a clear version, and the bottom half is a liquid. The upper half is the bubbles, and it's all flavored with orange blossom water. Yeah, so instead of putting the dashes of orange blossom water into
inside, you turn it into the foam. That's quite cool. And how about things like your highball? How did you go? Because highball is such a amazing drink, but it's also like such a, like some would say it's easy, but it's a drink that you can take to the next level, right? How did you guys do that?
So whiskey highball, let's put it in the context, is a drink with whiskey and soda water. Right. So Aki came one day with he went to Media, the Japanese market, and he came back with this 2 liters bottle of Hokkaido soft water. And he said, let's try to make a better highball. So that was when he used a Japanese technique called mewari, which is to macerate the ingredients together for a few days, and then it's a bit like infusion. All right. So what we did was, or maybe let me explain the drink in summarized context. So whiskey highball in Jigger Pony, we look at the drink as a whole. What could be done better to a whiskey highball? Right. If you have used good whiskey, what about good water? What about different source of water? Different source of water. We are all accustomed to mineral water, Singapore's new water, so we don't really think much about water. But we use a certain kind of water that is soft, low in mineral. So what this does is that it helps to place more emphasis on the whiskey instead. It brings out the flavors. It has this natural umami or savoriness that after a few days of macerating, it makes the drink becomes one.
What do you mean by macerating? So you keep the whiskey and the water together for 3 days?
Yeah, and then we carbonate it on the 3rd day.
Also, on the 3rd day, you carbonate the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it becomes bubbly. So otherwise, it's just mizuwari, like just whiskey and water. But we carbonate it, we keep it chill. So that's our version of the whiskey highball. It's ready to pour. So consistency is there. Makes our job quicker as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Drinks are out fast as well.
So you guys do some serious volume there, do you?
Yeah, we do, man. Like, it's a 140-seater. So some of the drinks, we started to pre-batch them for a good reason. In the past, we were like, let's stay really Japanese and make everything from scratch. But sometimes, we felt that robs away a bit of the experience from the customers, because we either take too long to make a drink. On a Friday night, 11 p.m., you just want to make sure that all drinks are out. If
as
you
soon
are
as possible.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And if you're at the bar, you want your drink, they come out fast and accurate. If you order a drink now, you would expect the correct drink to come in the next 3 minutes. Nobody likes to wait for a drink for 10 minutes or 20 minutes.
No, and I think I agree with you, and I think it's a great way to say it the way you say it, is that you rob from the guest experience by getting him to wait for too long.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. I think one thing I learned through my 7 years working in Jigger Pony, or something that shaped me, was that I try to minimize mistakes, and I try to not place myself in a situation where I can allow that mistake, or rather, allow that mistake to come to me. So if we think about a way around all this, we can easily eliminate a lot of mistakes that may damper your reputation as a bar or the customer's experience.
That's very cool. Just the last thing about Jigger and Pony. How did you guys feel about your recent results in the awards, and did they mean a lot to you?
Yeah, they of course they mean a lot to us. Like we've been working hard for 7 years. It's nice to be recognized. But of course, this is not the end. It is like a TED team every day. It doesn't matter that we are whatever awards we get or the placing. These are all. In fact, if any, they should be the motivation for you to perform even better, to deliver the best experience for every customer who walk in, be it someone who comes for the awards or someone who just passes by. Everyone should get that precious piece of, or that the great piece of the Jigger and Pony experience. Yeah. So no, I love that our hard work has paid off in a sense.
That's very cool. Very well deserved. In hospitality, we tend to work a lot.
Yeah.
What is it that you have that helps you unplug from work? Like, how do you invest your time off?
Right. So, over the past 7 years, I've done several different things to unplug. Recently, I discovered that I work a lot. So I tend to bring work home.
You tend to discover that at some point in your
career. It's very ironic because I chose to be a bartender so that I don't have to bring any work home. But, like, I realized that I've been bringing a lot of work home, and I do a lot of work out of my work hours. And I enjoyed it sometimes, but I feel like there was a bit of a burnout. Yeah, so I've told myself since then that, okay, let's restrict work to work hours. I shall not set up any meetings with anybody on my off days, and certainly not on Fridays anymore. I mean, Fridays are always a 12-hour shift for us. So, I used to do meetings in 1 p.m., 2 p.m., and then work all the way to 3 a.m., right? So
not cool, yeah.
So now, I just block out my Fridays. Just come to work at 3, finish at 3 a.m. So, yeah, that helped a lot. Also, I started to learn music again.
Okay.
Yeah, music was a big part of my life. When I was 10, I started to learn music, to play the guitar, just for the fun of it. When I was 17, I went deeply into music. I formed a band, grew out my hair. We had a band. Every one of us were always in leather jacket, always 30 degrees in Singapore. Yeah, so we really wanted to succeed as a musician.
What kind of music?
We used to play a lot of my band used to play heavy metal or hair metal, glam metal.
Man.
Yeah,
that's so cool. I used to have purple hair when I was 16.
Wow.
I listened to metal every day.
Okay, you gotta show me later.
Yeah, long purple hair, man.
Oh,
I used to wear makeup,
cool.
hardcore.
Yeah, that's cool, man. It's a bit of a punk element there,
yeah.
So
I
that's
always
what we
loved
do.
punk, metal. That's a big thing for me.
Mm.
And you picked that up again, you said?
Yeah, so recently I started to learn the keyboard and to sing.
Oh, that's so cool, man.
Something that I always wanted to do. I always wanted to be. I was a drummer in a band, but I always wanted to be the singer. The lead vocalist of the band, because that's the guy on the stage that has the most control of the crowd. So yeah, finally, last August, I stopped thinking, and I went straight to the music school, signed myself up.
Oh, that's so awesome. So
Yeah.
you're studying music right now?
Yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
And how did you pick up keyboard now? Because it's quite late.
Yeah. I just did since August.
And how is it? Is it difficult?
It's a bit difficult, yeah, to be honest. Like, the only reason, or maybe one of the reasons why I was so happy playing the drums back then was that, you don't have to think about too much of the music theory. You just banging the drums away, staying on time. A lot of that, it comes a lot. For me, it's a lot of that feel, that goes into the playing. But for things like guitar or keyboard or piano or anything like that, there's always that. Are you in tune? Are you on skill? Are you off the key or something? So that was something that I didn't want to think too much about. Yeah. So now learning the keyboard again, I went into studying the music theory a bit. I have a bit more better understanding of what a skill is and how you stay in key. So yeah, that was very refreshing for me. So now on my off days, instead of working, I just practice the keyboard. Yeah.
That's so cool though, eh? You gotta play something for me at some point.
Alright. You can dedicate a song, I'll learn it for you.
Okay. You can play some Iron Maiden on the keyboard when we meet next time.
Give me 2 years. Give me 2 years.
Exactly. And cool. So I think that's a good thing to wrap it up. And one last question we ask everyone. If you could choose your very last drink, what would that drink be?
Wow, I never thought about this.
Deep cut, man.
I'm quite a sentimental person, so I would say maybe the old-fashioned.
Okay. And what
Yeah.
would that be?
Because the old-fashioned was the first drink that I learned
Cool.
from one of my mentors to make it with craft. A crafted old-fashioned.
Cool. It was awesome to talk to you. Thank you very much for
Thank
finding
you,
your time.
man. Thanks for having me,
Awesome
though.
We hope you enjoyed our chat with Jerrold. We are Unjiggered_media on Instagram, and you can follow our personal accounts at mmariotti89 for Michele, Alex J. Murphy for myself, and Adrian Bessa for Adrian. Thank you for listening.